Okay, so welcome, Shannon, and anybody else who's going to watch this video, to the support session for CHCPRT005, Work Within a Practice Framework. My name is Sarah, and I've recently joined the Sci-Fi team and will be running support sessions each week, or each assessment task, sorry. And then we'll have some drop-in sessions afterwards if you need any support with assessments. If you have any questions, Shannon, at any time, just jump in. You won't be talking across anyone if there's anything, and I'll just go through it and then we'll have a chat at the end. Okay, so first of all, do acknowledgement to country. TAFE Queensland acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and respects the continuing connection to land, waters, cultures and family that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people uphold. We pay respects to elders, past, present and future. We recognise that teaching and learning has taken place on country for over 60,000 years, and two-way learning is an important part of our reconciliation journey. All right. So, assessment support session objectives. So we're here today to provide support for the unit CHCPRT005, and today we'll be working on assessment 1, I believe. I'll guide you through the questions with a few pointers, and then if you have any questions or queries, we can go through those. And if there's something I'm unsure of, I'll get back to you by the end of today. I'll go and speak to the wonderful Talia and find out. So there's 3 assessments due for this unit. However, today's support session will just be on assessment 1, and then the following weeks on AT2 and AT3. So assessment 1 is the written due on the 5th. So that's probably about a week, on the 5th of May, 23. The second assessment is a reflective report due on the 19th. So 2 weeks after that, 19th of May. And then the further assessments are written reflections and tasks in the student logbooks, and that will be individual on your placement due date when you started. Okay, so assessment task support, we'll start with so the 7 questions to answer. Make sure you read all of the question and because some of them have a couple of parts, and this where we can sort of trip up. We can answer the whole question, and there might be a little bit at the end, and to be marked competent, we need to answer all of the parts of the question. Use the learner guide, and also conduct further research on the internet. If there is a minimum required word count, please follow that, and link examples to your answers if that's relevant as well. So just important things to make sure you do the first time round to be marked competent. Okay, so question 1, I'll go through the questions just briefly, and then Shannon, if you have any questions on any of them, just shout out, take yourself off mute and have a chat. Question 1. Okay, so let's have a look. So question 1 will be a subjective answer. So you reflect on what's important to you and list these. They're all there, and then just put them. I mean, I would suggest sort of writing them down on a piece of paper, read and reflect until you sort of have your list, because it takes a while to sort of get an understanding of, what's really important to you. B is give an explanation. So here again, so do the answer and then give an explanation. So explain in a paragraph or so why you chose this order. There's no wrong answer to this, but it's just, so flicking through those, important that you answer both parts of the question. Question 2, provide a brief explanation of the roles. Look, you just conduct internet research, and there's A, B, C, D, 4 of them: Family and Child Connect Service, Child Safety Services, Blue Card Services, Child and Family Commission. So that's pretty straightforward, and you will find all the information you need, if not in your learner guide, on the internet with those.
Just a paragraph for each?
Yeah, I
for the two,
would.
sorry.
Yeah. Brief explanation. So brief explanation. Yes, I would just do
Perfect.
3-4 sentences. As long as you explain exactly what they're there for. I'm just having a look at them all. They're all have a solid reason for, you know, why they're there. So yeah, just a little paragraph. Question 3. What have we got here? So 2 examples linked to the indicators for standard number 3. Okay, responding to individual needs. So once again, word count 50 words, so about 50 words. So what's that about? Probably 3 or 4 sentences as a guide for each example. And that will cover question 3 for you. Question 4, 6 in your own words. So again, 6 key practice elements that the science of safety approach to child protection wants their skills. So I guess you just have to explain it in your own words, and again, probably 2 or 3 sentences for each. As long as you've explained it, and that doesn't need to be any more. Don't need to do any more work than you have to do. So we're busy, working and studying and being a mum. Okay, question 5. There's 2 parts to this question. Let's have a look. So choose 2 of the key principles and then explain how workers in your agency might put these principles into their day-to-day families. So it's 100 words. That's 100 words total. So again, probably a good paragraph, you know, I'd do probably 5 or 6 sentences for each. As long as you've covered it and explained and linked it, then you'll be covered. Okay. Question 6. Do you have any questions, Shannon?
Oh, sorry, there's a part B to question 5.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Have a discussion. Oh, yeah, sorry, you are right. The 2 parts. Have a discussion with your work colleagues regarding the impact and, oh, yeah, the 2 positive features, yes. So 2 positive experiences that your colleagues have had applying the principles to their work. So just document, if you can speak to you're working in industry, aren't you? So
I'm working in the education industry,
okay.
which would definitely use some of these like frameworks within their everyday work practices anyway, just not specific obviously to child protection, but there's still obviously a child protection component, the duty of care. So
and it's just a positive, how does that, you know, all the challenges that they've identified with these. So I guess, and that's also will be an individual response. So just so that you sort of provided evidence that you have engaged with other workers, other colleagues, just to discuss how that would positively or negatively in their words. So again, no wrong answer, but you know, you have to show that you've done the work. Question 6, 2 examples on how the sanctuary model of care works in line with best practice and child legislation. Okay. Just read and understand the sanctuary model of care, really, and explain it. You can refer to a couple of goals of the Australian framework, and such as children living in safe communities and family environments. You know, how does the sanctuary model of care sort of uphold that part of the Australian framework for child protection and child safety? Question 7. So 7 questions. Research the history of the average and provide a brief summary. Okay, so
that was a link that I couldn't find. There was nothing in addition. So there's, for question 7, there was nothing in like additional content or anything under the summaries to find that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander child placement principle. I tried to research it myself to see if it came up in any of the multicultural affairs type websites.
You couldn't find it?
I may just not be looking in the right place, but if there's a simple place to find it, that would be much appreciated.
Okay, so the placement principle.
Okay. Yes, correct, for the ATSI one. Yes. just to be able to click that link and then obviously
Oh, yeah,
read through the
absolutely.
research
I'll have a
to,
look.
yeah, because linking obviously the Child Protection Act is very simple to find and it's everywhere basically, but to make the connection between the two to
No,
I know it, yeah, it says obviously relevant websites in the Connect unit, but yeah, if we can find that particular ATSI one, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Look, I'll get on to that and follow that up, and I'll find it and I'll attach it to additional content. That's great.
Thank you so much.
Like that. Yeah. So there's two parts of this question. Well, obviously you need that to respond. So I'll get onto that today. Let's go down to okay. So summary of what the principle relates to and 2 reasons why it's included in the Child Protection Act. And that's why it's good we have these support sessions so you can pick these things up, you know, rather than there's nothing worse than trying to go around and find content, is there, when you're trying to get the word.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a 2-part question. So you're saying you want us to research the history of that introduction of the ATSI, of the child placement principle, in a sort of a brief summary, and then
just a paragraph.
Okay, and then 2 reasons why the principle is included in the Child Protection Act. So maybe it may be that okay, yep. And says you're encouraged to go to the relevant websites referred to in the Connect unit to assist you with your response. So yeah, if that, and then that's the only question that was a bit conflicting.
Okay, and then you've gone in and you can't find it anywhere. Okay, all right, no problem. I'll follow that up today. And get on to that. That's good, because then you will not be able to do that without that document. Yeah, and it should be easy enough to find, you would think, but sometimes these things are hidden. So I will find that and add it. I was also going to add an additional content just about child safety, actually, permanency. And it's funny because we were talking before, I'm really passionate myself, coming from that industry, and I thought that adding something that's like gives a bit more of an understanding of, like, it's a good read, and to understand like the drive and the aim of the child protection framework, whether we get that right all the time or not is a question, but it's because permanency is the underpinning of it, is to maximize the child's stability through relationships and connections, you know.
For sure.
So I'm going to add that, because I always like to link that, and like I said, it's good that you were saying that you're interested in going into that area. It needs a lot of workers that, you know, have a good understanding. There's a fair bit of work out there for child safety now, and there always will be. So.
Yeah, it's interesting, like even reading through the content on Connect for this, the learner guide for this unit, it's I think the thing that took me aback was how the changes are actually only really recent. Like this legislation and this protection for these children and the framework that we have, it's actually relatively new. Like it's not something that's been around, well, forever, you know. And that really surprised me, that we're only sort of getting on top of it now. Like it just, it
does. And look, honestly, I was surprised quite a lot by a lot of things when you go into the child safety and child protection space. It's you know, there's a lot going on out there, and there's a lot of stakeholders, and you know, there's you know, a lot of things they're doing right, and there's a lot of things that still really need to be changed, but for these little ones, just in general. So I hope you do follow. It's a great space to work in, and yeah, it's good. I love when people are passionate about child safety and child protection. It's important. Okay, so just go through. So we'll some housekeeping. Follow your due dates. They're in Connect on the unit page, on overview, and on the right-hand side of the page. We also went through that. Now, submitting your assessments, if you require an extension, please read the TAFE rules, and you must make sure it aligns with these. Extensions are only granted in exceptional circumstances. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Word documents only. to go through Connect. No emailing assessments, please. Plagiarism, no copy and pasting from the learner guide or outside sources. You know, find the information, pick it up into your brain and rewrite it. In other words, just absolutely no copying and pasting in your assessments. Referencing, we encourage you to reference under each paragraph. It's, you know, you don't have to, but we definitely encourage, especially if you're going on to study further, it's good to get into starting to reference, because that's another sort of tricky. I remember going from one of my studies to another one and straight into referencing, and that's a whole another level. So it's really good. And I remember this being suggested to me at an earlier stage, and I don't think I listened, and I wish I had. So that's a tip I would share with you. So even like, you know, page from the learner guide, or this is when you can copy and paste the link to underneath where you found the resource, the information. It's a good habit.
So you're happy for the referencing to be done in APA under each question rather than at the end of the document, because then you're not sure what it relates to?
Yeah, sure. Honestly, yeah. Well, that's probably under each. It's just it is a great habit to get into. Like I said, I do remember it being mentioned, but not that heavily. But if it's something, and then when I went in to do degrees, and it was just, you know, and it's required, you know, and if it's you've got to learn. So it's a good place to start when you're actually not being assessed on it, you know, so but you can get feedback on it as well. So it's important. Requesting support, so email to the sci-fi team. The email to the sci-fi team is on the unit overview page, and I'll give it to you again in a second. The subject, please, on your email must reflect the content. So not attention to and things like that. If it's about AT2 assessment support, AT1 assessment support, please write that in the subject, in the email subject page. Okay, and resubmissions. Assessment instructions are all there for you on Connect. So just recapping on the upcoming due dates, assessment 1 is due on the 5th of May 23. Assessment 2 is due on the 19th of May, and assessment 3 and 4 will be an individual placement due date. So don't miss the deadline. There's the sci-fi.north@tafequeensland.edu.au. So make sure when you're emailing, make sure you include your name, your student number, your unit code, your assessment number, question number or numbers, and outline your query, and then we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So next week, the session will be on the 4th of May. And oh my God, it's May. I'm like, how did that happen? So 2 to 2:30, and that will be on assessment task 2. And once again, at the end, then any questions or queries or support. There we go. So we'll stop sharing now.